Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to share their take on today's top stories, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. Sometimes weather is the story, and today we're going to continue our weather coverage of what's taking place on the outside, let you know what you need to do to get around, navigate. We're also going to have checks on Hurricane Melissa, which is now down to a Category 2 hurricane. Meteorologist Danielle Moss will be in with that. Plus, we'll have a check on the traffic as well with our traffic team to let you know how to navigate the roads. We start you off, of course, with your forecast for today. And you look outside right now over our north side hospital camera. You can see how gloomy it is, the low-level cloudiness that we have, plus the wet weather that's coming down. And that rain will be with us off and on as we head through the rest of the day. It's going to be all day today, folks. It's a cold rain. That's what we're going to call it because our temperatures are in the 20s, in the 40s starting off this morning, but we'll be in the 50s as we head through today. So you need that jacket, folks. A heavy jacket or a light coat will do you. Also the rain gear as well. And the winds are blowing around, so you may have to hold that umbrella just a little bit as that wind will blow that rain sideways. We haven't seen a whole lot of it so far. As the rain has been pushing into our area, has been dissipating just a little bit there, starting to break up, fall apart. Some of that holding on as we head further up to the north over toward Murray County, for example, moving into Fanning and Gilmer County. There's more back off to the west of us, of course, thanks to a front that's going to make its way into the area, so we're watching for that. Winds starting to pick up as well. These are sustained winds up to about 18, maybe 20 miles per hour. Gusts will be in the 20 mile per hour range, but getting up to about maybe 30 mile per hour gust at times for today. Looking at 50, by the time we get to noon, 55 degrees for your afternoon high temperature for today. The extended outlook shows that we will see temperatures in the 50s. We'll continue to see that. We're also watching for some conditions improving on us as we head closer to the weekend. Now tomorrow, even though we start you off with the cloud cover, we'll be looking at clouds breaking up late in the day. May even get some sunshine in here before it sets. Certainly we'll see full sunshine by the time we get to Halloween Friday. If you're going to have plans to go out and trick or treat, should be pleasant, at least while the sun is up. Once that sun goes down, we're going to watch that temperature fall off again. In fact, if you look at Friday morning, we'll start you off right around 42. Another 42-degree start on Saturday. There could be some frost around the area over the weekend, but at least we'll have that sunshine to help to heat us up just a little bit as we head further into the weekend. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-60s. Keep in mind, we should be closer to the 70-degree mark this time of year. We won't get there until we head into next week. All right, let's get the latest on Hurricane Melissa with meteorologist Danielle Moss.
Well, Chesley, we are continuing to watch Hurricane Melissa, and it has definitely been a very strong storm. We've been watching this storm before it arrived in Jamaica yesterday. We're starting to see some of the damage come in, and I'm going to pull up a live camera a little bit later on in the show so that you all can see what Kingston looks like this morning. Here's a look at the current track. This is Hurricane Melissa. This is the 8 a.m. advisory. It just came out about an hour ago. It is now a Category 2 storm. Has winds of 105 miles an hour. Earlier this morning, it made landfall in Cuba. And you can see it's still moving a little bit faster. Around 14 miles an hour, has picked up speed since this morning. Here is a look at what it looks like from our satellite imagery. It is still a very large storm, but it's not as organized as the storm was as it moved through Jamaica. So now we're still seeing a lot of hurricane force winds. We're starting to see a lot of rainfall still with this storm, but it's not as strong. Here's the latest forecast track for you. It does look like by the time we get to this afternoon, it will still be a Category 2 storm, but it's going to continue to push northward. We are not concerned, obviously, right now with it making any impacts on mainland USA. It does look like it could be coming very close to the Bahamas. In fact, as we put the forecast track into motion this morning, a lot of rainfall out ahead of the main eye of this storm, even as a Category 2. It is still not a major hurricane. However, it is still very strong. Here's a look at some of these winds. I think this is still very important. What you're looking at right now, this is Jamaica, right? So a little later on this morning, they will still have wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles an hour, even after the storm has passed through. This is a look later on tonight. We'll start to see those winds calming down around Cuba. However, it's still going to be having a major impact from this storm. And Chesley, this has been a record storm right now, and it has caused a lot of damage. I've been talking to people who have family in Jamaica, and they're starting to see the damage and the aftermath of what was Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, we'll be sorting this one out for a long time to come, and also over toward Cuba as well. So thanks a lot, Danielle. Really appreciate that. Our forecast track model shows that we're going to get some rain in here, folks. Now, that rain will be light for the most part. There will be some moderate pockets here and there. Can't even rule out a clap of thunder or two. Certainly possible. Where we see the thunderstorms, that is where we'll have some brief heavy rain coming down. Again, that all totaling about a half an inch to about an inch more rainfall. We can take as much as we can, or we'll like to take as much as we can, because we have drought-like conditions. We have drought conditions over our area, so this will help to add to the rain bucket. We had 2 inches on, or as much as 2 inches on Monday. This will add some more, of course. Not going to bust that trout at all. We were down about 6.5, close to 7 inches for the year so far, so this will help out. But certainly we could use some more. Not going to get much after this moves through. We'll have some isolated showers left over by Thursday. We'll hold on to the threat for the rain. It's a 20% chance, but we'll hold on to it through about noon, and then after that, that's where we'll start to see the skies begin to clear out, and on Friday we'll have the sunshine around. It's going to be a pretty cold start on Friday morning, but we'll see the sunrise during the afternoon. That temperature will start to warm back up into the 60s at least. 70s really won't come our way until we head further into next week. So we have to take the good where we can get it, and that rain has been very beneficial for us. Of course, the winds associated with it have been more of a nuisance than anything else, but we'll take it how we can get it. Speaking of which, we'll take that traffic as well. Hopefully it's not too bad, Rachel.
Yeah, Chesley, at this time, not terrible. However, any amount of rain slows things down more significantly than usual. You can see rain on this camera here on I-85 southbound near Georgia 400. In fact, another drop just landed on the lens there. So let's take a look at I-85 inside the perimeter here. Speeds are in the teens pretty much from North Druid Hills and Claremont Road all the way down to the connector there. Georgia 400 southbound also very slow at times between the perimeter and I-85. Speeds in the teens and 20s. I-75 very slow as well. Speeds in the 20s there. Checking in though on your drive from the northern suburbs. The worst is Georgia 400 by far. 43 minutes from Windward Parkway to the perimeter at this time. The top of your screen 23 minutes. Baird Parkway to the perimeter 25 minutes. 316 to 285 on 85 south for Gwinnett. Let's go out live now to Doug Turnbull. He is the only dedicated traffic reporter in Metro Atlanta on the roads with you. Doug, how are things looking where you are?
Hey, and I love being on the take on Wednesdays. Let me tell you, Rachel, it is raining, and certainly it's made the ride worse, so it's not a downpour like it was on Monday. So I want to show you the picture here from our Forest Parkway area where we're traveling, 75 North. Our traffic impact tracker truck cam, you can see 75 North just moving blah as you ride up toward 285. Had an earlier crash here. Now let's look at some trip times along I-20. Still a little slower than you would expect for this time of morning. Had an earlier crash on the West Freeway clear. That's 20 eastbound, and so that's why it's 19 minutes still from Fairburn Road to 285. Definitely no sunshine delays. And on the East Freeway 20 westbound, it's 14 minutes to go from 138 at Conyers over to the east side perimeter 285 in DeKalb. We also want to tell you that 285 is still in rough shape. In fact, found a new problem in the left lane. 285 east, it's near I-75 in Cobb County. Left lane's blocked, stacking you from Smyrna. The outer loop 285 north and west of DeKalb County slow the whole way from Covington Highway around to Dunwoody. Rachel.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks so much, Doug. And we're going to have more on that new issue on the top end perimeter after a short break. Stay with us here on The Take.
All right, welcome back. You're watching The Take, folks. And now more on Hurricane Melissa as it continues to march on. NBC News reporting at least 7 hurricane-related deaths as a result of this massive storm. 3 each in Jamaica and Haiti, and 1 in the Dominican Republic. The 3 people in Jamaica died in accidents during preparations that were being made. After the storm continues through Cuba, it will head toward the Bahamas, where government officials are telling people to ensure their safety. Authorities say close to 1,400 people have been safely evacuated from the southern portions of the Bahama Islands there. As Melissa tears through the Caribbean, we're back to hearing about landfall, a landfall hurricane, a Category 5 storm This category is from what's called the Saffir-Simpson scale. It ranges from 1 to 5 and is based on the sustained wind speeds. Now, a major hurricane is considered anything from a category 3, 4, or 5. But that number doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't account for the rainfall amounts, flooding, storm surge, which often cases leads to most of that destruction. All right, we are looking at the atmospheric and oceanic folks down there. Welcome to the show, sir. I'm sorry I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Zachary Hanlos. I'm a director of our undergraduate atmospheric oceanic sciences program here at Georgia Tech.
Gotcha. So thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate that. Your view is that we should probably update the scale, right?
Yeah, it's a complicated picture because historically we've used the Saffir-Simpson scale since about 1969. So it provides continuity in terms of, being able to understand how present hurricanes are rated versus past ones. However, the challenge is that the Saffir-Simpson scale only considers maximum wind speed. And certainly strong winds, like with Melissa, can be devastating and concerning. However, there are other hazards that come with this too. Inland flooding, storm surge, sometimes you can get tornadoes. And none of these are exactly factored into the Saffir-Simpson scale. So it may be worth, as a community, revisiting, do we need something that kind of incorporates all those 4 primary factors? Is there a way to communicate that in a scale that's kind of similar to the Saffir-Simpson scale?
So you're saying we're seeing more storms breaking that traditional model, right?
I think it's always been like that. It's just that the Saffir-Simpson scale, if you know something about the maximum wind speed, you can infer or correlate these other types of hazards. So with Melissa, for example, when people hear category 5, they know, okay, this is going to be catastrophic. The winds are strong, but there's probably going to be strong storm surge, flooding, associated with that. But it's not technically encoded in the scale itself. In terms of, emergency management communication, communicating to society, it could be interesting to have a scale that maybe more clearly notes these other factors. Because sometimes you get these stories where people say, oh, I've survived a hurricane before. Even though these winds are bad, we never get the worst of it. But all it takes is one bad event where maybe you finally do get the winds, or maybe it's the inland flooding that's more destructive than the winds itself. I think a lot about Helene for Atlanta last year, where we didn't really have the bad winds here. We had 11 inches of rain or so in 48 hours, and that led to devastating impacts in our area. And of course, much more rain, in the Western Carolinas, where they had over 30 inches of rain. So I think, long story short, having some sort of scale that communicates these other factors clearly to the public could be really beneficial.
So what does that hazard index that you mentioned look like when you talk about the scale?
Well, it doesn't exist yet. I think this is something that's very much in the brainstorming stage, and no one is really taking any initiative, to my knowledge, within academia, the private sector, the government sector. But you hear chatter around the meteorological community that, okay, so we have the Saffir-Simpson scale. It's pretty good. We've used it historically. However, is it worth creating an updated scale? Well, there's challenges to this. One is that if you throw more factors into the scale, how do you make sure people understand what all this means to be firing off pages of text to people? They may not have the time or capacity to read through this. So how do you make it into like a single number? Maybe it's like a color scale or something like that, where, green is, best case scenario, red is worst case scenario. These are all ideas that I think people could float around. The next challenge, too, is that who's going to take the leader initiative to come up with a scale, something that everyone can agree on, something that's effective as a communication tool, and then is it something that we can actually use in forecasts moving forward?
Hey, that may be you. Maybe it's called the Hanlos scale. Zachary Hanlos, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again.
All right, take care. Plenty more stories for you coming up right after the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. Welcome back. You're watching The Take with our extended coverage of weather, and we're going to dive deeper into Hurricane Melissa with Jamie Rome, Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about the storm real quickly here from what we know, all right? And this was one of those really rapidly intensifying hurricanes, and we're seeing this a little bit more. Is this an ongoing trend, you think?
We've seen this several times in the last 10 years, these rapidly intensifying storms. Unfortunately, this is here to stay, so it's a new reality we're just going to have to adjust to in the communication of these impacts. And for people living in harm's way, they're going to have to be better prepared for these types of situations.
Yeah. Talk to me about the storm a little bit. What were you guys seeing from your perspective as it was a tropical storm just kind of meandering around a little bit, and then it just kind of picked up? Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing very alarming trends even all the way back to Saturday when the storm was still very, very weak. And we were trying very hard to convey our extreme dire concern. If you go back to the messaging that we were pushing out even on Saturday, it was very strong language for that type of lead time. And we were reaching out to the government of Jamaica directly, the local officials, to sort of pass that along. What we've heard so far is the lead time was sufficient for them to take the necessary precautions. So that's sort of the silver lining, I suppose, in all of this. But they did take the brunt of an incredibly intense Category 5 hurricane. And while we don't have direct information yet, all indications are it's catastrophic. Both, all three hazards came together. Storm surge is catastrophic on the south coast. The wind, especially in the mountainous areas, was probably in excess of 200 miles per hour of gust. And then obviously the heavy rainfall and that catastrophic flash flooding.
All right, where's the storm headed now? And it looks like it's losing some intensity, right?
Yeah, you can see in the satellite imagery behind me, it's lost that classic signature, but still a very potent hurricane, a Category 2 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Going to move over the southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos later today, and then out in the western Atlantic.
Is it rare for us to see a storm this strong at this point in the season? It seemed like a pretty, dare I say, a easy season, but we've had enough storms. But here we are in late October, going into November, really the last month of the season. Is it rare for this to take place?
Not particularly. I mean, these late season storms are often some of the most powerful. The sea surface temperatures here in the Western Caribbean are generally really warm this time of year, so you often see some of the strongest storms in the year late.
Wow. What are we seeing down the road? Do we have any more coming our way, or do you think things will just start to settle down from here?
Yeah, nothing on the immediate horizon, but as you know, hurricane season extends all the way through the end of November, so we will need to maintain good situational awareness, especially for the Caribbean down here, where it's still quite possible to get a late season storm.
All right, Jamie Rome, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight on this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks, we'll continue to have our thoughts and our prayers down to the folks in Jamaica. As you just heard from Jamie Rome, the deputy director there, that this is catastrophic. Most likely we'll be hearing more about the damage down there, and unfortunately more folks that may have lost their lives. We'll continue to bring you the very latest coming up, but don't go anywhere. We got plenty more stories for you coming up. This is The Take. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the show, folks. This is The Take, where we're doing a little bit of extended weather coverage to let you know what the conditions are like where you live, and also we're getting checks on Hurricane Melissa as well. You can see the winds blowing over toward Georgia's Rome. Those winds picking up a little bit. Those gusts will be in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range, and some spots may be a little bit higher than that. Blowing that rain around, folks. It's light for the most part, but it becomes nuisance-y, if I can make up a new word, as that rain is blown around by the winds. Plus, it's on the cool side out there, so you have to bundle up as well. So we're looking at that rain. Heaviest switch right now up here to our northernmost counties, Fanning, Gilmer County. Got a couple of moderate pockets there, starting to slide into Dawson County as well. A little bit down toward the city now. You got some light rain that has been around. We've been seeing that off and on since last night. That's going to continue as we head through the afternoon, as you see more rain back off to the west of us. Those wind gusts, there you go, in the 20, 25, 27 mile per hour range, even closer to 30 up there toward Dalton. 36 mile per hour gusts up into Blairsville right now. And so that's the way it's going to be, really a nuisance for us for the rest of the afternoon. So if you have to go out and about, you definitely want to grab the light coat or heavy jacket, and also the rain gear, just to keep yourself dry, folks, as those showers in some pockets will be on the moderate side. Area of low pressure back off to the west of us, dragging a front over toward the east. That's what's bringing the rain in. Not as much as we saw on Monday, but maybe up to an inch in some spots. Certainly possible. We need it. We need it, folks, because it's been so dry around the area. So it's just going to add to the rain bucket. 90% chance for today. Tomorrow it drops down to a 20% chance. And notice we dry up as we head toward the weekend. A weekend where we'll see Halloween on Friday. We'll have the sunshine around, at least for the daylight hours. Clear in the evening with those temperatures dropping down into the 40s. but we'll also notice our high temperatures starting to warm up a bit. We'll get back into the 60s starting on Friday. We'll stay there through the weekend, and also we gain an hour this weekend as well. So some good news there. Next best chance for the rain right now looks to be early next week, where our temperatures should be around 70 degrees this year. This time of year, we'll start to get back up there again as we head into next week. All right, let's get a check now on Hurricane Melissa, where the storm is, where it's going, with meteorologist Danielle Moss.
All right, Tesley, we have been watching this storm for quite some time. This is a live look at Kingston, Jamaica, courtesy of Sea Jamaica. This just came in. They have just finished moving that camera. I was watching it during your weather hit. It is literally the calm after the storm. Things are much quieter. You can see those winds have definitely settled down just a little bit as they zoom out on the island. Once again, this is in Kingston, Jamaica, courtesy of Sea Jamaica. Here is also a live look at the Bahamas. That will be the next place awaiting Hurricane Melissa. This is courtesy of EarthCam. You can see the clouds there billowing in the distance. So definitely a different weather story as we take another look at what is happening right now. It is a Category 2 with hurricane winds around 105 miles an hour. It's interesting because those winds are starting to settle just a little bit, but it's moving faster, so around 14 miles an hour. What we're seeing is the storm is getting a little bit disorganized. Yesterday, you could see that prominent eye wall. You can see how visible it is. Still there, but it's more disorganized. Not a major hurricane right now. We're looking at Category 3 and greater as major hurricanes. Right now, still a Category 2 storm. Here is another look at our satellite imagery. It is still a very large storm, more disorganized. So that means that the surf and the rainfall stretching a little bit further out. Here's a look at that forecast track for this storm. Latest model showing still holding on to the same continuous run. Very interesting with this storm is really it hasn't differentiated from the original plan. It's been going exactly where the models have said it was going to be going, and now we're starting to see it weaken just a little bit. Here's another look at that forecast track for you. Still holding on to those strong winds, not as strong of an eye wall, but it still could be doing some damage. We're continuing to watch it. We're getting more reports of exactly what happened in Jamaica, and like you said, Chesley, I'm sure today we're really going to hear about how strong this storm was and how many lives might have been lost there.
Yeah, especially where it made landfall with winds up to 185 miles per hour. What structure can withstand that? And it was very slow moving too. So you talk about hours being battered, right? All right, thanks a lot, Danielle. We're looking at our scattered showers that will form in our area as we head through the afternoon. We'll keep it in the forecast at least through about 5, 6 o'clock before it starts to shift over toward the east. You notice this little yellow in here, these little yellow shapes. That is moderate rainfall coming down. Can't rule out a clap of thunder or two, but not going to see any severe weather at all. Behind this, once it moves out of the way by 6, 7 o'clock, we'll see isolated or a few scattered showers left over, very light in the area. And I think that's going to hold on through the overnight going into Thursday morning. In fact, we'll keep the chance or keep the threat for a shower in the forecast at least through Thursday noon. And then after that, we'll start to notice those clouds breaking down slowly, and we may even get some sunshine in here before it sets. We will get full sunshine in here on Friday. Very chilly start at 42. We'll get up to 61 for the high temperature. 65 degrees on Saturday. Sunday looking at 66. Even the upper 60s coming our way as we head into next week, with 40% chance for some showers to come our way by Monday. Models going back and forth on how much rain we'll get in here. Right now, we'll leave it at a 40% chance. That could fluctuate. We'll adjust that as we get a little bit closer, but at least we have a nice dry weekend to enjoy, especially for Halloween Day. You're looking at 61 degrees for the high. We should be around 70 this time of year. All right, let's get a check on the traffic now with Rachel.
Thanks so much, Chesley. Looking at the top end perimeter around the Cobb Cloverleaf, where we have a couple of incidents that has really slowed things down in this area. One of them just cleared out here from I-285 westbound just past I-75, but the slowdowns are still intense between Sandy Springs going toward Cobb Parkway, seeing speeds in the teens and single digits. And then another incident. This one is east of I-75 on I-285 eastbound here. So this is a crash in a left lane here. You could see an SUV, a couple of sedans there off the left shoulder. So that's significantly slowing things down in that other direction. Speeds in the teens as well there between I-75 and Powers Ferry where that crash is. And all of this means heavy southbound slowdowns on 75 from Marietta to the perimeter. Let's get out live now to Doug Turnbull. Doug is the only dedicated traffic reporter in Metro Atlanta. Out to you.
Hey, Rachel, look, you might be surprised to learn that even in the dry weather, the downtown connector is slow this time of day. Certainly it's murky, wet, ugly, sloppy as we drive right now, but thankfully no big wrecks in the way. Take a look at our traffic impact tracker truck roof camera here. So you can see, well, what's left of the skyline there as the fog descends over town. It's going to stay like this through the day as the connector ride stays slow up through town. Let's look at what it's doing here trip time wise for you this time of the morning. 75-85 north, still 23 slow minutes for the south side split. Highway 166 to 17th Street. Southbound is almost a speed limit at 9 minutes on that same stretch. If you're trying to get into Midtown for a late morning appointment here, 85 and 400 south, still really rough the whole way. 400 is from Sandy Springs into Buckhead. 85 south below Claremont, 75 south is on jam from Moores Mill into Midtown, but that's all of volume. No big wrecks in the way here as people try to get in on that wet pavement toward town. Rachel?
All right, thanks so much, Doug. Doug and I are going to continue watching the roads for you as this rain comes down. We're going to be back after a quick break here on The Take. Stay with us.
All right, the countdown is on. We're just 100 days away from the 2026 Winter Olympics, and no one here at 11Alive is more excited than Cheryl Preheim, who will be in Milan for the games. How exciting.
I am excited. I wish you were coming with me.
I don't know, it's cold.
We were in London together in 2012, which was fun, but this is a whole nother deal.
Winter
Olympics
deal.
is totally different.
You've been preparing for a lot of these. You've been at a lot of Olympics. What's it like to feel like 100 days out?
You really start to feel the momentum, and you feel like the time is going fast. You know, all of the athletes are in make it happen mode right now. Some of them are already on their way to Europe because they're going to be competing ahead of the games. So they're all locked in, they're ready to go. We've been having so much fun just getting ready, not just with the athletes, but also with how it impacts our community here in Metro Atlanta.
Give us a sense of how you prep. I have some idea. I know we spent some very long days getting ready. When do you leave and how do you prep?
Should I just wear my weighted vest around my neighborhood? People like, she's getting ready for the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Because you carry all your equipment in your backpack. But I think the most fun part of prepping is, like, I know what you love is getting to know the athletes.
Oh, yeah.
You spend time with the athletes, you spend time with their family and their team, which is so much fun. But the other thing we all love is you also get to lock in on all the youth leagues and the community leagues around hockey and figure skating, curling clubs, you know, just parts of our community that love these sports, and it's our chance to spend time with them and highlight those as well, which is really fun.
Oh yeah, sounds good. Now, what are some of the storylines you're going to be keeping an eye on? Well,
the biggest one for us here in Georgia, and really one of the biggest one in the country, is Alana Myers-Taylor.
Yeah.
She's a bobsled icon. She's a legend already. She's heading to her 5th Olympics. Born and raised in Douglasville, Georgia, and has broken so many barriers. She is the most decorated Black Winter Olympian of all time already. So whatever she does this time around is just even more of writing her story in the history books. But she's just an incredible person. She's so fun. She's down to earth. She's a mom of 2. She really has deep roots in Metro Atlanta. And she's so funny. You know, I've always asked her, what's it like to go in a bobsled? So, you know, you jump on the bobsled and you go down this ice track. And she said, oh, just think about it like jumping into a metal trash can and rolling down an icy hill. And that's how she describes it. But then ironically, she just mentioned to me for the first time, we've known each other for a long time, and she just drops this interesting fact that she hates roller coasters.
I absolutely hate roller coasters. Even though I'm a bobsled pilot, a lot of people are shocked to find that out, but in a bobsled, I am controlling it. In a roller coaster, I don't even know what's next. So that unpredictability, I don't really like. When I'm going down in a bobsled ride, I know what's coming next.
It doesn't make sense to me. When you see that you know, bobsled, I mean, it seems like it's the same thing.
Totally.
But she's in control.
What makes sense to you, though, is she is so competitive.
Yeah.
And you know, it started in high school. So she went to Lithia Springs High School. So we want to shout out Lithia Springs, where it all started. She played soccer, basketball, track and field soccer. And it was really, she just decided she wanted to do the Olympics, and her dad actually said, what about bobsled? And that's how this all started. So our very first interview was in 2016. And at that point, she wasn't married. She didn't have kids. So we've watched her
grow up
in her whole life. Now she's a mom of 2 boys. We celebrated her 41st birthday together the last time we did an interview, just earlier this month. And she's like breaking so many barriers of being a mom, a woman in her 40s, and now a 5-time Olympian. She's unbelievable.
Beyond the games, the city itself, I mean, you know, historic places, iconic places, how much of that plays a role in all this?
Well, we really want to take you all along.
Okay.
You know, come on. But you don't have to pay for airfare or a hotel. So,
nice.
So everybody wins, right? But we want to show you. So we've already been researching, and we'll be showing you all of the great places. We'll be showing you the scenery and a little bit of the culture and all that thing. So when you're watching 11Alive here, you'll get to experience all parts of it, not just sport, but really where we are in the world too.
And I think that's why so many of us in the newsroom and many other people see you there and get so jealous. But when you land there, you're running from day one.
Yes, we definitely do that. So it's, I think, 26 days straight, and the days are about 18 hours. I mean, talk about an adrenaline rush, though. It's the best reason to have a long day because it's just unity, it's the world coming together, it's sport at its best, it's people excited to be there. So it's all the right reasons to have long days, but just, you know, cut me some slack when I start to look a little haggard towards the end because it's a long run, but we love it so much. I really can't wait.
We can't wait either. All right, looking at a shaky camera right there. We got some winds, we got some rain. We're going to talk more about your forecast and get a check on the very latest with Hurricane Melissa when we return. You're watching The Take. We're back right after this. Welcome back to The Take, folks. We're looking at your forecast extendedly for today and also getting checks on Hurricane Melissa. You can see over our area right now, this is in the Athens area where we have that low level cloudiness, also the rain that's out there. You look at that top parking lot there, you can see it's soaking wet, folks. Light rain so far, but has soaked us. And that's going to continue to be the case as we head through the rest of the afternoon. Whether it's light or we get a little moderate pocket in here, yeah, it's still going to be soggy, to say the least. That's what we're going to experience off and on as we head through the rest of the afternoon. Winds have picked up on us a little bit, and you can see the wind gusts. That's what I'm showing you here on the screen, are in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range, some a little bit higher, especially as you go up to the north. You got a wind gust in Dalton right now, close to 30. And that's going to be the case at least through about 5, 6 o'clock before things begin to settle down, waiting for a front to move through the area, and then behind it, our winds will begin to shift. They'll start to settle down. Still a bit breezy behind that front, but it will shift out of the west and start to die off just a little bit. Area of low pressure, notice by that counterclockwise spin right there, making its way to the east. Adjacent to that is a front, and that's making its way, bringing in this rain that you see ahead of the front. We have our easterly winds coming in. They'll shift to more southeasterly, and that's why they're speeding up just a little bit as the system rolls right on through. 90% chance for the rain to be around for this afternoon. We're not going to get a whole lot. Just because you see 90% doesn't mean we're just going to get over 2 inches like we did on Monday, but we will see maybe a ½ an inch to an inch of rainfall. 90% meaning that much of the area will see that rainfall. 20% chance as we head into Thursday. I think that'll be mainly during the morning, or at least through early afternoon. We'll hold on to that 20% chance. After that, we're going to start to dry out, clear it out as well. In fact, you can see Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the dry side of things, looking pretty good as well, with the sunshine coming back to the forecast area. So that's the good news right there. Forecast track model shows that we'll see some isolated, heavier pockets of rainfall, maybe even a thunderstorm or two. Not going to be severe, but we'll get some heavy rain with that thunderstorm if one happens to pop up. We've seen the lightning so far back off to the west, just has not made it into our state, but that could be the case as we head into the afternoon. After about 6 o'clock, we'll start to see the steady light rain begin to push out. More of these isolated variety will be around, and again, I think that holds on at least until we get into tomorrow morning and through tomorrow afternoon before we say goodbye to the rain briefly. It will return. I'll show you that in the 7-day outlook in just a few. Let's go to Danielle Moss now with a check on Hurricane Melissa.
We have been seeing a lot from Hurricane Melissa, and I'm starting to see a little bit more updates, not only from Jamaica, but as we look into the Bahamas as well as Cuba. Here's another live look into Kingston, Jamaica this morning. This is courtesy of See Jamaica. It's important to note that this is Kingston, Jamaica. I've been seeing tons of videos and images coming out of Montego Bay, and it does not look as calm as Kingston right now. it does look like business is normal right now, but this is also a far back city shot. So as you get closer, things will look a little bit different, especially when you're talking about into the neighborhoods. Here's a look into the Bahamas this morning. This is a live look. They are awaiting the storm, so that is definitely something important to note. And then here's some video that we just got in. This is from Cuba at landfall. This is courtesy of NBC, some user-generated content that was sent in by Rolando. You can see how deep and how fast that water was coming through and how quickly it filled up the homes. Once again, this is all from Hurricane Melissa. It is now a Category 2 storm, so still expecting a pretty good amount of rainfall to be impacting these islands. Still have winds of 105 miles an hour. They're going to continue to send those hurricane hunters into the storm to continue to gather information. Right before it made landfall in Jamaica, they had a hard time trying to really investigate how strong this storm really was. When it made landfall there, it had 180, 185 mile an hour winds, and now we're looking at winds near 105 miles an hour. We call this disorganization with the storm, and that's what you want to see. That means that it's kind of falling apart. When it has that prominent eye, that's when things really start to get a little bit higher as far as those winds are concerned. Here is the latest model track for the storm. Still going to hold on to that Category 2 strength. It could regain strength, maybe getting close to a Category 3, but as of right now, we feel confident of saying that it's probably going to continue to be a Category 2 storm. All day long, we will continue to look at updates and bring you the latest on what's happening with Hurricane Melissa, not only the aftermath, but as it continues to push through some of these islands as well.
All right, thanks a lot, Danielle. Really appreciate that. We're looking at cool conditions continuing, not only for today, but we'll do it again tomorrow, even though we'll see that rain begin to subside for Thursday. We're looking at 57 degrees for the high temperature. May even see a little bit of sunshine before it sets during the day. And then we get full sunshine back to us as we head into Halloween on Friday. 61 will be the afternoon high temperature after a 42-degree start. Now, 42 degrees in the metro area means that there could be some 30s in some of the outlying areas as well. We'll have to look out for some frost. We're also looking at a 42-degree start on Saturday morning, but you'll notice temperatures getting up to about 65 degrees. Even better as we head into Sunday. We're going to start you off with the sunshine, but the clouds will continue to increase as we head into the day. 66 will be the afternoon high temperature. This ahead of a next system that could bring us some rain. Models going back and forth on whether or not it's going to make it toward us, but right now we're looking at a good 40% chance for some scattered showers to push in here by the time we get to Monday. Again, maybe a clap of thunder or two. 68 degrees will be the high temperature. We'll do it again on Tuesday with that 30% chance for an isolated shower. Now, keep in mind, we should be closer to the 70-degree mark. So even though we'll hit those 60s as we head into the weekend, that's still going to be below our average. So you may want to keep that jacket handy, folks, even though the rain is gone, just because we'll have those very chilly starts. And we'll have those cool afternoons. At least the winds will start to subside as well as we head toward Halloween. So you should be okay for your trick-or-treating. Let's go over to Rachel Cox-Rosen now to get a check on the roads.
Thanks so much, Chesley. I-285 is in rough shape right near I-75, the Cobb Cloverleaf. One reason is a crash that tough to see here under this overpass, but one car blocking a left lane. At one point, it was up to 3 cars. And going to the maps, you can see just how slow it is as folks try to head towards Sandy Springs eastbound on I-285 away from I-75. Speeds there in the teens. Also slow in the westbound direction, and then also significantly slowing your 75 drive time. Baird Parkway to the perimeter, 26 minutes, way slower than usual. Slow as well on Georgia 400, 33 minutes from Windward Parkway to the perimeter. 85 Gwinnett County drivers, you're still dealing with a slow 22 minutes from Highway 316 to I-285. So why so slow? Well, the rain certainly contributing. This is a good shot showing heavy slowdowns near Haynesbridge Road on Georgia 400. Certainly wet pavement there, a lot of reflection, a lot of water coming from tires there. So use extra caution getting out the door. Someone in those rainy conditions is Doug Turnbull, the only traffic reporter in Metro Atlanta on the roads with you. Doug, how are things looking on 85?
For sure. Been driving through the mist, the muck, the rain, the slow stuff since we hit the roads about 5:30 this morning. A look at our traffic impact tracker truck hood camera. We're 85 north approaching Claremont Road. That means we've been riding on the downtown connector most of this episode of The Take. And let's look at what the connector's doing right now on your maps. 75, 85 north. It is rough the whole way up through town. And look at the slow ride into Midtown. I want to focus where this icon is that Rachel just put. All lanes are shut down. I'm looking at a camera of it right now. 75 south, a brand new crash below Northside Drive. All lanes are shut. They're trying to drag it out of the way. That's why the ride is jammed back before Howell Mill Road. Rachel.
All right, thanks so much, Doug. And we're going to be back after a quick break here on The Take.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Pretty cloudy on the outside, a low level of cloudiness you can see over our Decatur camera, and you see how it shakes a little bit. You know, we get these wind gusts every now and again, just adding to the nuisance of the day. Our rain has been light so far, but it's blowing it sideways. Those wind gusts in the 20, 25 mile per hour range in the North Georgia mountains and the 30 mile per hour range. It's going to be this way pretty much all day, folks. So grab your jacket, heavy jacket, and also your rain gear. You're going to need that. All right, we don't have any thunderstorms out there right now, but let's say we have a thunderstorm, right? It drops some very heavy rain across the metro area. What happens next can be just as damaging as the storm itself. Storm water runoff floods streets and washes out streets, strains local infrastructure, and even carries pollutants into our rivers. Vic Engel joins us now. He serves as the managing director for North Georgia Metropolitan Water Planning District. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Absolutely. For people who see water just running down the road, right? They may say, okay, well, that's just water and it goes into our storm drains. What exactly is storm water runoff and why does it matter so much here in Metro Atlanta?
Yeah, we here at the Metro District, we're a regional water planning district, and we work with local governments, utilities, and other agencies to help manage our water resources. So that's stormwater, especially when it rains heavily, after a dry period, that water will just run right off. It carries, like you said, pollutants and other things. Now, that gets into our waterways, our lakes, and our rivers, which is also our water supply. So we work very closely. We have a really good plan in place to help manage that stormwater and to manage our water supplies. But it is important for residents to know that when they leave pet waste in their yard or in the park, fertilizer, oils, things like that, that will wash off into the creeks and our lakes, and it's something that we have to be careful about.
Some probably would say that this is a natural thing. How do you manage it? Is it really on us as far as making sure that things around our homes are nice and clean?
Well, I would say it's a good idea. We encourage that here at the district for all residents. Short rain and runoff is a natural process, but of course development, and when we create what we call impervious surfaces, so driveways, roads, things like that, it accelerates that runoff and it exposes fertilizers and other things in our yards, on the streets, in the environment that is a byproduct of our development. And so, yes, it's a natural process, but we can also, if we're going to be good stewards of our water, we need to make sure that we try to keep that stormwater as clean as we can.
Yeah, we saw it earlier in the week where we had that heavy rain and washed out Forest Park Road in Clayton County. Talk to us about the cost that goes into the maintenance that happens when we get these heavy rains that push through the area.
Well, so the cost of stormwater can be significant in terms of damage to infrastructure, properties, the flooding that occurs, right, as well as the water quality issues that I mentioned. So it requires a lot of concentrated effort, dedicated effort from our local governments, our city planners, developers, and agencies to manage that stormwater, and it can be quite costly. Newer developments tend to have stormwater features built in according to new codes that have been developed. Older developments typically don't have some of these features in place, and so that's where we really need to pay attention to it, and that's where we are focusing on managing those stormwater volumes.
All right, Vic Engel, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight, and thanks for helping to keep our area clean, especially when it comes to runoff waters. All right, take care.
All right, thank you.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We got plenty more stories for you coming up. This is The Take. Welcome back. Before we go, my final take. Up until now, it's been a somewhat quiet hurricane season. And we always tell you it only takes one storm to ruin a complete season. And it appears Melissa can be that one. The strongest storm to form this year so far, the strongest to ever make a direct landfall over the island of Jamaica. The hurricane will go down in history as one of only 2 hurricanes to make landfall with winds up to 185 miles per hour. The other storm was the 1935 Labor Day hurricane that hit the Florida Keys with 185-mile-per-hour winds. All right, it remains to be seen how destructive the storm will be, as residents and officials will be out in Jamaica and Cuba to assess all that damage. That's what they're doing right now, folks. And our hearts and our minds and prayers go out to them. The only thing you can describe this as catastrophic. You're talking about 185-mile-per-hour winds over hours in the same spot. Yeah, it's going to be devastating, folks. So go ahead and brace yourself, and hopefully people fared okay. We'll be hearing more and more about the destruction and the devastation down in that particular area as the storm continues to climb up toward the Bahamas later on today. All right, make it a great day, folks. Try to encourage someone. We'll be back with more tomorrow on The Take.